What a round, what a fight this has been.
Fight of the night, fight of the year.
You have witnessed history here tonight.
Seriously, who's going to stop him?
Hands, feet, knees and elbows. We've got the lot on Australia's only complete ring sports program. Welcome to Hammer Time. I'm Andy Raymond. This is the Hammer. Mark Castanini. A trend developing, it seems, in Australia. Whilst the main events aren't lacking, it's the undercards, the prelims and the young guns stealing the show.
Well, that's right, Andy. Of course, the young guns, the support acts of those big shows that happen all over the country. There's some guys that are very young in years, but so mature in their fighting styles. They really showcase our sport so well. And, you know, I'm just proud to be a part of it with these young guys coming up through the sport.
So much to get through, so little time as we crisscross the country and the globe over the next half hour. Joining us in the studio, a huge guest in every sense of the world, the Sting. Paul Slawinski joins us. Hammer's fight tips are back. We investigate grappling, but our review and our preview of what is happening on the local scene, it begins in Townsville with Pride and Glory number 5 coming up. We've seen some red-hot action in Townsville over the last little while.
Well, I suppose not a lot happens in Townsville, apparently, but Pride and Glory is happening there. It's a show that is going from strength to strength, showcasing new talent and some really good seasoned veterans.
Mike Demetriou and Matt King, I love the look of this fight.
Well, of course, Mike Demetriou's, you know, he's a good all-rounder, true Muay Thai stylist. Matty King, look out for this guy. This young bloke's going to be going far, I predict.
Okay, this is Mike Demetriou here in the red gloves fighting Eli Madigan, going back on an Ian Bronson show not all that long ago, but Demetriou, you know what you're going to get with this guy, and it's a tough night at the office each and every time.
Yeah, this was an 8-man eliminator, and Demetriou got through to the final and against Toby Smith, and that was a great matchup. But he really took out Eli's legs here. Being a southpaw, of course, he's attacking that inside thigh and rear leg. And Mike Demetriou, a lot of unassuming power, trained by Don Miller, a true Thai stylist, and Demetriou really bangs hard, especially down low with those leg kicks.
It is the ace up the sleeve of a guy like Demetriou, the southpaw, isn't it? Not a lot of them in Australia at the top level.
Especially Mike. You know, Mike he's been around a long time, one of the most understated fighters in the sport. But you know when he steps in, something's going to happen, and his opponents better be switched on or they will get taken to school.
Matty King versus Pechinon. We saw Matty in action in his build-up and lead-up to this Demetriou fight.
Yeah, well, look, as I said, Matty King is a revelation. A young guy, fights, you know, really cleanly. Have a look. He's explosive. He's technical. He's a complete package, and someone I think we're going to see a lot more of. Promoters are going to be, you know, calling him up. He's getting showcased more and more in these big events, and I predict big things for Matty King in the future.
Okay, not only that, super fight, if you want to call it like that, but Mikey Tomahawk Thompson and Nguyen, who are in a rematch.
Yep.
Their first one, I wouldn't say it finished controversially, but it was that close that people were just begging for them to go again.
Yeah, and of course the Thai Nguyen, he thought he was hard done by in that fight.
This is the fight number 1.
Exactly, and you see Mikey there just, you know, feeding out the lead and, you know, really putting his skills together as he does so well. He's got a lot of tricks up his sleeve, Mikey Tomahawk Thompson, and that's why he's one of the bright lights on the Australian scene. Huge
rap for him on last week's show with Nathan Corbett, saying this is the young dude that I've got my eye on that is going to be the next elite level.
Well, sure, out of the Iron Fist gym, you know, the boys they've brought him up right, if that's the correct terminology, and Mikey Thompson, you know, going from strength to strength, and I look forward to this rematch. Of course, you can see a lot more of these shows and more on Fight Sports On Demand. It's a new site that, you know, promotes shows and people can watch them as they like.
Hammer, let's talk Knees of Fury. Edition number 41 to Ethan Shep and the crew that man the Knees of Fury. Well done, but their first venture into New Zealand.
Well, yeah, of course, Ethan Shep, he is from New Zealand, so he's gone back. He resides there now, and he moves between Adelaide and New Zealand, and he's there, and he might as well be promoting there, as he said to me, the Shepster. These are Fury events. Well, they're renowned. We've seen them so often here on Fox Sports, and they always deliver. And yeah, Ethan's gone over the ditch, and he's going to show the Kiwis what it's all about and what we get excited about here.
So too will the main event. Another rematch, would you believe? But it's Andre Meunier against Tafa Misipata. A cracker
Oh, look, Andre is, he's one of my favourites. He's a guy that will step up any place, any time, and pretty much fight anyone. We've seen him in some epic battles up against Tuffer, and the same from Tuffer Missapati. This time it's going to be in Tuffer's backyard. He's going to have the hometown support. So, Andre is going into the cauldron there to take on Tuffer.
Can you put an accurate gauge on it, Hammer, both from your fighting days and now your training days, fighting your home ground to their home ground? Because we hear about it in rugby league, AFL and cricket. What about fight sports? How big a difference does it make, or how big a difference can it make?
I think it depends on the individual. I think it depends on the fighter. Some fighters, it can be the be-all and end-all. You know, they really need that support around them. But Andre is a bit of a maverick. He doesn't care. You know, he's from Melbourne. He fights in Adelaide. He was become pretty much an adopted son over there. They love him. But they love him because of the fighting spirit that he brings. And I think when he goes to New Zealand, they're going to adopt him as their own as well, because, he brings the show wherever he goes. Big Andre, I love him.
OK, that is happening in New Zealand. These are Fury 41. Happening in Melbourne, Warriors Way 7 at the end of June. Yeah, well, Warriors Way, it's a local show, but one that showcases some great up-and-coming talent. Two four-person eliminators. Yeah, a four-man and a four-woman eliminator, something different. So, the four-woman eliminator, pretty much novice fighters. They're going to be doing something different. A lot of the shows, bring through the same sort of element. This is something different. It goes back really to the traditional arts. A lot of the traditional martial art tournaments, elimination tournaments. You start with 30 fighters, you get down to 2, and there's the final. So we're sort of going along that theme, with the Warriors Way shows. And also to much of my appeal, the Ring Card Girl contest, something that can't be missed. And we'll see that. We're going to showcase some of those highlights in the coming weeks as well. Executive decision has been made, my friend. That is coming up, but what's coming up more immediately? Live in the studio, the Sting, Paul Slewinski. The big guy, the Sting, South Australia's very own Paul Slewinski joins us. Pleasure to have you in, big guy. When you look at the highlights and you look at the clips, what goes through your mind?
I wish I had some fights coming up.
Fights coming up. You've been training in the United States, training with the Black Zillions, MMA. Is it an option, or are we going to lose you to kickboxing?
I went there because I had a few fights falling through this year, and it's just harder to get fights. So I looked at going to UFC as keep active, keep busy, and I just went there to see how I go against some guys like Thiago Silva, Richard Event, and see what it's all about. And training was good. Stand-up wise, they had nothing to surprise me with. Just on that flow or against the cage, I found myself in trouble and didn't know what to do.
There's options, I suppose, for fighting with the smaller gloves. Of course, Ben Edwards, who's a long-time rival of yours, has fought in the Combat 8. Again, and there was talk of you getting into the Combat 8, but the ground play is really not where you want to be, in my opinion.
Nah, really, it's something I know nothing about, and it might look messy and not as spectacular, but it's a lot of technique, a lot of positioning, you can get yourself in real trouble if you know what you're doing.
Yeah, I guess if you're not comfortable there, Hammer, as a mature age fighter, very difficult to go into that area. Let's talk Benny Edwards. You've seen enough of each other to last a lifetime. It's a healthy rivalry, very respectful too, and a beauty, some great fights.
I like Benny. We get along. We've had some.
Doesn't look like it.
Doesn't look,
Doesn't look like you're getting along so well.
That's just in the ring. It's a good, healthy rivalry. It's 2-0, so I think we're due for the final and fifth bout, and we'll see where it goes.
Hammer, we've seen a bit of everything in this rivalry too, haven't we? You know, we've seen Ben with the hands, Paul with the feet, both dominate at really different times.
Well, we spoke to Ben, obviously, a few weeks back about the conditioning of his legs, and I suppose one of the things he said was he really can't get conditioned to take your kicks. You and I have trained together and you know, for so many years, and I know Muay Thai is your passion, it's what you've done, and as Nathan Corbett said last week, he's staying true to Muay Thai and the art, and that's, I suppose, something that you're doing as well.
Yes, I would love to stay true to Muay Thai and K1, but I mean, you know, fight is what we do, and fight is where we get paid. So when we don't get those fights coming up, you either go to get a job or
get a real job or keep
get
fighting.
a real job or try to adjust to the UFC and MMA, which is so popular now.
Paul, we're here in Australia, we're only this big, the world is so far away. The better you get in Australia, the harder it is to attract fights for realistic money. You can't go paying European-type money to guys in Australia.
It is. That's why I spent almost 10 years abroad, living in Asia and Europe, training and fighting with good fighters and getting good fights over there. Australia is so far away from everyone else, and it's just hard to get good opponents here for good money, and yeah, it's just one of the disadvantages.
We'll blow time on the big guy for the moment, but after the break, the Sting story continues. We check out some of his biggest bouts. We also chat about the early years. All that and a whole lot more on Hammer Time.
Well, guys, this week in the gym, we're going to have a look at grappling and some of the scoring benefits of a takedown and how they're affected. Long-range grappling generally is at this range here, so we haven't really engaged and tied right up nice and close. We're sort of in this range, and this is probably the easiest range to affect a nice takedown. So I'm going to try and manipulate Chris's body weight and use what he's doing against himself. So as he'd throw a knee, I can catch it even with my own leg, drop it down and then counter strike before he recomposes himself. Off my knee strikes, I can drop to his inside, to the inside thigh here, push pull, twist him over. Same thing can be done with that rear leg. So knee, drop to the inside and then just push pull and twist him over and around my supporting leg. Alternatively, take advantage of him being propped on one leg. So from here, as he's trying to knee me at this range, boom, kick him out and take out that supporting foot. Attack his base, his vertical base. He has to maintain that vertical base. I'm going to try and take advantage of that. We're looking to get those takedowns on from the transition. So you're working from your striking and then you'll engage. As soon as this happens, this is the optimum time to try and get leverage and take your opponent down. Again, knee to the outside, push, pull. You can roll them around. There's a whole heap of things you can do. Fighters manipulate their opponent's body weights in many different ways, and it's often the more aggressive and overzealous striker that is taken down because they're really not thinking too much about keeping their vertical base. They're too intent on attack. So the more cerebral, calm, composed, methodical grappler is often the one that gets the win.
Grappling there, probably, Hammer, not a high profile or an attractive part of the game, but gee, it's a crucial one.
Well, it is a real skill, as you know, we spoke about earlier with Paul with the ground game. Well, this is the standing game. You have to have your vertical base, and if you effect a great takedown, it can swing a fight your way. So it is a very important part in the Muay Thai game.
100-plus fighter brute Paul Slawinski joining us. We spoke earlier about your rivalry with Ben Edwards. Another really good and healthy rivalry with the big chief, Peter Graham.
Yes, looking back at like 5-8 years ago, when we first fought, you sort of dislike the guys and not really like them at all. But these days, I just wish I could fight Ben or Peter.
Every week, if possible.
So yeah.
Do you let that emotion and that anger build up? Is it hard to control?
As you get older, sort of get the understanding that they're fighters like myself. You know,
Yep.
they enjoy the sport and enjoy to get a good punch and kick.
Fighting guys like Peter Gray and Ben Edwards, you've been around them for so long and fought them before. What sort of a game plan? Do you try and bring a new game plan in every time you match up to them and just reinvent yourself, or do you just go out and do what feels right?
I think for us, we've been doing this for a while and we got our own styles. So we basically just try to prove that your style is better than their style and beat them at it.
Paul, the kicking, is it natural for you or something that you've really had to work on?
It is semi-natural. I used to play football, before I came to Australia, and I actually did start playing soccer here for the first year, '97. But back then soccer wasn't going anywhere, and so I started doing Muay Thai with Alan Wong, and slowly adapt to fighting.
You've seen how he kicks other people's legs.
Sure.
Can you imagine how far he kick a soccer ball? Two powerful kickers there, but from very different backgrounds. Of course, Peter Graham with the Kokushin, you with the Muay Thai. Were you cautious of his legs throughout, knowing what he can do?
I don't want to sound disrespectful, but no, his kicks did not hurt me, and I blocked most of them. So no.
Let's go back a little bit. We spoke a little bit about the difficulty in you getting opponents, but there's one man that fronted up to fight you not once but twice, and that was the big panda, Steve Banks, all the way from America, undefeated and an MMA fighter, but you really took him to school.
Yeah, it was a good fight actually. I prefer bigger and stronger opponents than myself, and
He really let the elbows go. He wasn't scared. He wasn't intimidated by you at all. I spoke to Steve obviously before, and he was so relaxed, and he really showed that in the fight. You see him going after you there with elbows. Is there anything there that worried you when you were fighting him, apart from his massive bulk?
no, not at all. I think he came to the fight very confident, as you said. He was undefeated, and when you are undefeated, you're on a winning streak.
Yep.
You do come to every fight confident and feeling good about it. So I'm not surprised that he was that way.
Paul, are you still learning something every fight? Is the learning process still there?
No, I mean, I should say no. I try to, when I fight, I try to, I don't look at it, what can I get out of it? It's more of where or how can I get my opponent. So I'll pick on more things which they do wrong than myself doing wrong.
And you've really brought your hand skills up too. So everyone is well aware that they have to be careful slinging legs with you and be aware of moving out of range of your big kicks. Your hands are coming along well now. You're enjoying your boxing training.
Yes, they have definitely picked up since I went to Holland. There's a lot of good boxers, a lot of good kickboxers there. And for the first year, I was just black and blue all over my face from sparring with all them K1 fighters like Tyrone, Jaron Volition, and Pavel Mayer and all them. But I had to pick up my boxing game there, which I did.
You've had another war, but a war with a family. You've targeted the McKinnon boys from New South Wales.
Of course, Steve now in Glory, so he's over competing in the Glory series now.
Yeah, he's doing well, and he's a very good fighter. Both times I did fight him, it was very hard and very entertaining fight.
You can see, whilst Paul has evolved so much as a fighter, Hammy, there's not a huge difference in Paul then and now. Everything's just a little bit better.
I think, look, for me, in the years of commentating and training alongside Paul, I've never known a fighter with a better work ethic. You know, off a win, he'll be in the gym. I remember clearly we were in Thailand once. He fought in Thailand. I think even was against Knockweed or one of those guys. A renowned Thai.
Yeah.
Paul won. Should have been out celebrating for the whole week, not just the next day. And Stefan Fox, who was running the camp over there, said to Paul, "No training. Have a break. Take the day off. Take the week off." And he jumped on his motorbike, rode away from the camp, went up to, I think it was World Gym in Samui, and he sent us all to look for him. He goes, "If he's training, bring him back to the camp and tell him he has to rest." That's testament to his resolve.
Do you love the training?
Yeah. back then I loved my training very much so because there was so many names and so many fighters I was going to face and to get ready to try to fight against. So yes, it was very motivational, very challenging.
Okay, we saw the vision of Steve McKinnon. We have gone way back to the archives to dig this out of Paul Slawinski and Stuart McKinnon. And
Have a look at yourself
you
here.
can barely see, but look at Mr. Slawinski here, a very different looking fella.
Swinging from the rafters. Bring back fond memories looking at that, Paul?
Yes.
1998, what were you, 18 years of age then?
Yeah, 18, 19. Yeah, 18.
And fighting some of the big names on the Aussie industry, Hammer.
Well, you know, looking at that, you can see how long and the evolution of this man, not only in fighting ability, but in body, you know, the hard work in the gym, you know, the nutrition. And I know Paul, he gets looked after his nutrition by Max's. He's got good strength and conditioning training around you, boxing coaches, you know, still kicks the pads daily. So that'd be a fair summation of your work ethic?
Yeah, it's just going to the gym and trying to work. It's just going to work. That is my job. That is how I get paid for the fight. So, yeah, you do have to get up and go to the gym every morning.
Treats it exactly as it should be, treats it as a business. Okay, if there was one guy that you could fight tomorrow, who would it be?
Out of the whole world?
The whole world, apart from me and Hammer.
I think the fighter who's been always most talked about and gets most recognition is Badr Hari, and we have fought.
Yep.
The fight went to distance, and he has won by a few points, and I would like to fight him again.
Of course, Badr Hari has been on the Legends series, and we saw that. He was the main event on the card that Jabbar Askarov won the four-man eliminator. But this is Badr Hari and Zabit Samedov.
Well, Samedov, even, there's another opponent potentially as well. Big hitters, but you know, the Badr Hari fight obviously is a mouth-watering matchup, but someone like Samedov, you know, a big hitter, I think would be purpose-built for Paul to take apart with legs. But yeah,
I have fought Samedov before.
and again, you know,
Back
going around
in
the game.
2007, was it K1?
K1 Europe 2007. I have stopped him with leg kicks second round or first round.
That was in the semi-finals. Badr Hari's a loose individual, had his fair share of issues too, Hammer.
He certainly has. He is known as the bad boy, and for good reason. But he pretty much got caught here, and I think Badr Hari is not the Badr Hari of old these days, though, Paul. What do you think? Do you think he's maybe digressed away from being focused a bit?
I've actually know him and hang out with him a few times. He's a very talented, very skillful fighter. He's got very good physical abilities, but he's just a spoiled kid when it comes to Amsterdam. And everybody loves him there, and everybody basically throws everything at him, and he behaves the way he behaves.
Talking about being the king of your domain, you're pretty much the king of Adelaide when you fight over there, with you know, a lot of support. And how does that impact you when you fight in Adelaide? Take us through the feeling that runs through your body when you step out on one of those big events.
Yeah, Adelaide's good. I don't really get nervous before fighting anywhere else, and I have fought so many places. But when I do fight in Adelaide, I still get the bugs in my stomach and chills up my spine, because yeah, when you do walk out the ring, you see your mates there, your brother there, your cousin there, and your girlfriend and your ex-girlfriend there.
That's just nervous right there.
Yeah. So yeah, it's fighting basically everybody in the crowd.
Paul, what's next? When are you fighting again?
I actually I'm going to do a MMA fight, MMA Down Under, September 21st in Adelaide. And yeah, see if I can get a few more fights in MMA and see how I go. And we'll see where that takes us.
Genuinely one of the great big men in Australia. And on next week's show, we wind the clock back just a little bit. Slammin' Sammy Greco gives us an insight into his early years like never before. We'll also find out what he's doing now, plus all the benefits of getting involved in martial arts at an early age. Paul Slawinski, a pleasure. Mark Castanini, something very similar. We hope you've enjoyed the show and we look forward to your company same time next week on Hammer Time.